Morning Combat back at it. Big names getting you fired up for all things Fight Island. How about this welterweight headliner in a Wednesday card right around the corner? Michael Chiesa. Oh, my microphone falling apart in my damn hand
Holy
right here.
crap.
Good God. Look at this crap setup here.
Jacked. You are jacked. Dude.
Get all kinds
Broke
of
your microphone.
I gotta go old school right here, like I'm at Madison Square Garden. Mike the Mav Chiesa here, gonna be in the main event Wednesday morning, East Coast time, of course. Fight Island, you're there, you're fired up. We're fired up to have you here. How's everything, my man?
Everything's been good, man. You know, we're still in quarantine for another like 13 or 14 hours. So excited to get out into the real world again. It's crazy that, you know, you do 2 days of quarantine in Las Vegas, long flight, then they coop you up here for 2 days. So excited to get out and get into the fight week festivities.
Do you get look, let's talk about this situation in particular, because you're sort of coming here last minute. How close were you in terms of fighting anyway when you accepted this, when the Khamzat Chimaev fight with Leon Edwards falls apart? We don't know if you're going to fill in, face Leon Edwards. You end up facing Neil Magny. Very important fight in the top 10 rankings here. But what kind of notice did you have coming in?
Well, I had a long notice for the camp for Neil Magny. I had known for a while that him and I were competing against each other. It's just in the state of the pandemic, I think that bout agreements and fights really aren't made official until like a month or less before. So I knew I was fighting him. And so I got the call the day that Chimaev news broke that Chimaev was out of the fight. The deal got done for me to be in this main event against Neil. So you know, I was in, you know, top shape when they called me about, you know, stepping up and, you know, fighting in the main event. So really, you know, the notice isn't an issue at all. And this is the era of opportunity for mixed martial arts. This is the era for guys to get great opportunities to step up on short notice and do great things. So it's not that I had a short notice fight. It was just a short notice for a main event. So what a great opportunity in the perfect situation. To fight the guy that I was slated to fight for. You know, I had been preparing for this guy for an extended amount of time, and you know, just have the main event aspect be the only short notice part about it. And it worked out for the best. I'm in top shape. I'm ready to go.
You know, and like you said, you're fighting the guy you originally planned to, so no issues there. Was there a season though, an hour, 2 hours, where you're like, hey, I'll fight Edwards and this might happen for me?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, when my manager called me that morning, he was like, hey, you want me to throw your name in the hat for Leon? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. I mean, if I have to choose, if I'm going to lose my original matchup with Neil Magny, I would say if I had to choose between either fighting Leon Edwards or fighting a totally different guy, if like Leon or if Neil was off the table, I would say, well, I'd rather fight Leon. You know what I mean? Higher ranked guy, a little more to gain. But I like this situation the best. This worked out for the better. Me and Neil have been eyeing each other for a while in terms of a fight. He's an awesome guy. You know, we have good general interactions, and I think that that's going to make for a special fight. So we're in shape. We're ready to go. It's going to be a good main event.
The beard, as always, looking strong for you. Do you have to trim that at all as fight night comes, or can you just go full on bush here?
I trimmed it before I left. You know, I've had some fights where I've had a pretty big beard before, but I like to groom it up a little bit. And, you know, I used to do the mullet and the big beard, and you know, people say I'm a sellout, but I'm like, yeah, you know, my fiance likes it, so. And I guess it's kind of nice. I used to hate going to the barber so much, and now it's kind of like become this tradition. Like week before I leave for the fight, go get a haircut, get tuned up, get the ears lowered, and all that stuff. So, still got something going on down here.
Well, look, you're in a great spot in a lot of ways. You're expanding your role with the UFC, doing some commentary work there as a fight analyst. We're certainly seeing you in the midst here in the welterweight rankings, 3-0 since moving up in weight. I don't know how this happened, where you always had a tough cut to lightweight. We said, okay, what's he going to look like at welterweight? Now you're one of the biggest welterweights, it seems, right there. It seems like, hey, maybe this division was made for you all along.
Yeah, man, I was fighting my body for a long time. You know, as I started to, once I got in the UFC and I really started to figure out how I need to train for my style, you know, it involves a lot of strength conditioning. And I just started I was fighting my body. My body wanted to get bigger, and I was really depleting myself and putting myself through hell, pardon my language, with these huge weight cuts. And, you know, finally enough was enough. And I made that jump to welterweight, and I quit fighting my body. And it's like I hit a second growth spurt almost. Like it's like taking the weight cut out of it and being able to like nourish my body and take care of it while doing these training camps, it's really paid off. And I still have, it's funny. I really am a big welterweight, and I didn't realize it until I'm fighting Diego Sanchez, and I go back and watch the film, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm swallowing this guy up. I'm like, if he stood in front of me, I could cast a shadow over him. You know what I mean? So, and that's just a product of hard work, a lot of lifting weights, a lot of protein shakes, 6 eggs in the morning, 2 cups of oatmeal, all that jazz, so I'm in the right weight class for sure, and I ain't never going back.
Look, you look great in beating Carlos Condit in your debut here, moving up to welterweight. The Diego Sanchez win was nice, but then when we saw you against RDA, it was a little bit more of, is this guy for real in the top 10 as a legitimate title contender? How much do you think you proved that in that victory last January?
I think I proved it a lot, and I proved it a lot to the fans. Obviously, beating the number 5 guy, proved it to the fans, proved it to the UFC brass. But more than anything, I proved it to myself and my teammates. I went into that fight very compromised. I broke my nose 2 weeks into that training camp. So I couldn't, the last 6 weeks, basically the whole training camp, there was no sparring, no wrestling, no grappling. And we still stuck with the fight. We were able to get a win with essentially the shittiest training camp of my life. And I give a lot of credit to my coaches, because he was able to formulate practices to keep my mind in it, to keep, it's hard when you can't do the things that give you your confidence and preparation. It's hard to really go through with the fight when you can't do the things to get your confidence. So my coach did a great job keeping me stimulated, to keep me focused on, basically to keep me in the fight. So to get that win and not be close to my best, it's a big feather in my cap. So to be able to honestly say I'm going into this fight, no injuries, no broken nose, no anything. I had surgery and I basically had 2 surgeries last year, and one addressed all the lingering, nagging injuries that have been bugging me over the course of the last couple of years. I'm as healthy as I could possibly be, headed into the biggest fight of my life.
This division, there's plenty of wrestlers. That seems to set the tone at the very top. That plays great against your game. You're fantastic on the ground. Do you feel though that you get the respect, or maybe have had a chance to show how good of a striker you are? Because for you to get over the top against these very elites, to put that welterweight strap around your waist, the game has to be complete. How complete is your striking game in light of what we've seen so far?
It's a lot more complete than people would think. Plan A for me is always grappling, and I'm not shy about that. Not and it's one of those things where it's like you stick to plan A, and when plan A is not working, you go to plans B, C, D, so on and so forth. But the times I have showcased my striking skills, I've put hands on Jorge Masvidal. I've put hands on a lot of very talented guys, and dropped them and showcased my striking in good ways. But it's not like I'm winning fights a certain way and I stick to that. I might throw a wrench in the gears this fight. We'll see. I got a really tall guy that I got to deal with. So we'll see, we'll see how that pans out. But, I'm a lot more well-rounded than people give me credit for. It's just when I'm able to stick to plan A and people can't stop it. Like I'm not going to start resorting to my striking. If I'm getting takedowns, I'm able to advance positions on the ground and stuff. There's no need to go to plan B. You know what I mean? So that's like if a good striker, to put it in a different perspective, it's like, okay, you got a really good striker who's known for being a good striker, and he's piecing a guy up through a fight, and it's like, I'm doing so good on the feet, maybe I'll just try and take him down real quick. It's like, no. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Stay the course. You know what I mean? So I've just been staying the course, staying true to my style, but I'm a lot more complete than people give me credit for. It's just going to take the right opponent to start to stifle my plan A to get me to showcase the rest of my skills. Neil Magny could be the guy. We'll find out.
I mean, look, Neil Magny's no slouch. You know that better than anybody. Preparing for this fight, it's going to be a tough out, but obviously plenty of opportunity for you to launch into that top 5 with a win, for you to be added to the title conversation. When you look at those big wrestlers at the top, the Covingtons, the Kamaru Usman, who's had so much success there, do you get excited about the idea of having your ground skills matched up against theirs?
100%, 100%. But that excitement of thinking about what comes after this fight has been put on the back burner, because I've been very, very focused on just Neil Magny. Like I'm the type of fighter where usually once I'm peaking and the camp is over, I start thinking about who am I going to call out. I'm always a man with a plan. I like to get that microphone after a win and know who I'm calling out, because a lot of times if you have a logical proposition for the UFC and you have all eyes on you, that's the most important time to call out a fight, is when you have that microphone in your hand. So I usually have a plan beforehand. I didn't want to have a plan this fight. I wanted to be focused solely on Neil. My focus has to be on him. I can't have any lapse of focus. And I'm just focused on Neil at this point. But the idea of matching up with those guys in the top 5 excites me a lot. And I think that I can give those guys a lot of problems. My goal is to end this year in a position as either the number 1 contender or in a number 1 contender fight. And in order to get there, I got to have a great performance on Wednesday.
Are you buying into all things Khamzat Chimaev hype up to this point?
That is like the most popular question. I don't want to call it hype. I just think that when you start to bill it, a guy is like with hype, it's like, oh, is he going to live up to the hype? And then he loses and you're like, oh, it was all hype. I don't like to use that, because I look at this guy, Khamzat Chimaev. He's young. He hasn't been fighting for that long. He hasn't been training for that long. And there's a ton of talent. The talent is there. We can all see it. The best way to say it is, we're going to find out how deep that talent is with this win over Leon. If he loses to Leon Edwards, he that doesn't mean he's not talented. I just don't think he's if he loses, he's not talented enough to make that next jump that everybody thinks. Everybody thinks that he's going to beat Leon and he's going to be the next guy to fight for the belt. I don't want to say hype, because I feel like when you use the word hype, people just kind of like, it's either a win or die situation. You know what I mean? Oh, he didn't live up to the hype, he's a bust because he lost. It's like, well, that's not true, because this guy's super good. He's from Chechnya. He's a great wrestler. I don't like to use the word hype with this guy. We're just going to find out how talented he is. We're going to find out how talented he is when he fights Leon Edwards. Even if he loses to Leon, that's not a knack at him as a fighter. He just is not talented enough to make that jump up yet. But if he does win, well, then he's got the talent to be a champion. So we'll find out.
We'll find out. Hope that guy doesn't to take the things you worked for by cutting the line if he does get a big win over Leon Edwards there. But we'll see how things go. Look, we got to be honest about some things, Mike. This microphone setup, not world class right here at this moment. MMA in general, not putting out typically quality tattoos on the chests and backs of the arms of the participants. We've seen a lot of absurd ones. You got a pretty nice package. Don't tell another man he has nice. You've got a pretty nice tattoo pack going. Do you think you compete against the very best in the game right now of having inoffensive and if not stylish tattoos, all things considered?
100%. I got a great tattoo artist back home, Getty Anderson at Living Skin. He does an awesome job, and he actually he does great quality work in general. But I think that he takes a lot of pride in the fact that I'm in a video game, and I think that he's like, he always tells me that, like, he'll have customers come in and they'll be like, oh, their kid, my kid was playing as Chiesa, and that tiger tattoo you did on Mike sure looks good on you, UFC 4 or something like that. So it's always funny when when he brings that stuff up. But I got a great tattoo artist. It wouldn't be possible without him. But I got some good ones on deck. I got to get my leg finished. And I think I'm going to move on to a back piece, but I think I'll have a full canvas by the time I retire.
I mean, that's your uniform as a fighter, right? When I play the UFC video game, first thing I do is design the tat layout. Do you have any regrets up to this point? Anything you'd remove, anything like that?
Man, not really. I mean, the back tattoo, that's kind of like, it's not the greatest one I have. I'm proud of my heritage and my last name and stuff, but I think that's why I want to get a back piece, is I kind of want to spice that one up. It's just like some cursive writing on my back. And at this point, it's like, I feel like when I actually got that tattoo, I was a lot younger. I think I was 18, and it used to go like all the way across from like the tips of my shoulders. And like, as I've gotten older, it hasn't stretched out. It's like shrunk in the middle. You know what I mean? It's like kind of getting closer and closer to being in between my shoulder blades. So I don't regret any of my tattoos. No regrets. You've seen that online. No,
not everybody's cool enough to pull out the damage across their chest like Darren Elkins, and maybe not everybody's cool enough to pull out what's going on in the back of Kevin Lee's head. I know he's not allowed to talk about your mama, but have you seen this tat on the back? Are you impressed by his performance at all?
Did you just talk about my mom? Is that what's happening?
No, not me. Not me. That was secondhand smoke.
I'm kidding. I gave Kevin a little flack about that. Look, I run into Kevin at the PI all the time, and there's no bad blood. It's just a good competitive rivalry at this point. But we take little jabs at each other every once in a while. And yeah, I took a little shot at that head tattoo. It's different. You know what? But Kevin's a deep thinker, and I think that there's some deep meaning to that tattoo. And I watched an interview where he talked about it, and I can see the purpose as to why he did it, and I respect it. It's just not my style. And I don't think it's really many other people's styles either. I think he's just that's Kevin Lee's own thing. And if he's happy with it, that's all that matters. That's what tattoos are for. So it's different, but good for him.
All right,
Probably hurt like hell getting a needle repeatedly jammed in. There's not a lot of flesh back there. It's just like skin and bones. So I'm sure just getting the back of your head hammered probably felt like a woodpecker pecking into your brain or something.
I can't do. I got a fear of needles. I can't do it. All right. I had a vasectomy. There were 3 needles involved. You don't want to know that story. All right, let's close here on tattooing Neil Magny, potentially January 20th. It's a Wednesday morning. Us old guys on the East Coast are fired up. Breakfast with the UFC. Does that change anything for you? I know it's probably a better time out there in Abu Dhabi, but is there any extra significance for you being on ESPN in 9 a.m. Eastern time Wednesday morning?
Dude, I'm super stoked to be headlining on ESPN. I mean, that's just like, it's what dreams are made of, man. It's like, what an opportunity, and one I'm definitely not going to take for granted. In terms of the time difference, and the initial information I got was like, you're going to be fighting at like 2:30 in the morning. I was like, oh God, that's going to suck. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where like, I don't like to take a nap on fight day, because I feel like if I take a nap the second I wake up, I feel like everything is rushed. It's like, I kind of want to, like, on fight day, I want to like ease my way into it, like make that walk, it just kind of not feel like I'm in a rush. And now the fight's going to be, it starts 9 a.m. on the West Coast. So it's a 12-hour time difference from where I'm from, 9 hours for you guys. Or no, 15 hours. Is it 9 or 15?
I wasn't told there was going to be math in this interview. I'm not really.
I know math is not my strong suit, so we'll just forget everything I said. Look, you're an East Coast guy. I'm a West Coast guy. We'll just say from a West Coast standpoint, it's a 12-hour time difference. So I'm going to be competing between probably make that walk around 11:15. Perfect. You know what I mean? And so I don't got to do anything different the day of the fight. Maybe just sleep in a couple extra hours, but I think it worked out for the best. And, I'm just really excited for this opportunity, man. I got a tough opponent who's just a solid human being. I got a main event spot on ESPN. And I get a fight overseas in Abu Dhabi. Very blessed, man. Very excited.
If you win, you'll have an opportunity to make a big call out. We'll see what happens. This division's hot. I can't wait to see Michael Chiesa. It's been a pleasure, sir. Thank you for dealing with the technical difficulties. Have fun out there on Fight Island. All right, go get them.
Thank you, sir.